Hey guys, it's Chelsea Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We've got an NFL two-game parlay coming at you. We've got a promo code. The code is DOG if you want 15% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Again, that code is DOG, D-O-G. We've got Chip Chirimbes joining us to pick a couple of games and hopefully win you some money. Chip, we're starting with Bengals at Washington football team. The football team is favored -1.5. The total is 47. Thoughts on this one?
I like this game, actually. I like the matchup and where it's at. And Washington, although they're 2-7, they've covered 4 out of the 9 games they played. Cincinnati has made money for their backers, 6-3 against the points, though they've only won 2 games outright. They have that tie at Philadelphia, of course. But, Burrows gets all the attention with the Bengals, but people ought to start looking at their defense, giving up 399 yards per game. And, Chelsea, in spite of this, they've covered 11 of the last 16 times they've been on the road as underdogs. And they're 4-0 in the last 4 meetings against Washington, but neither of these teams are anything like the last 4 times they've met. Washington, people aren't quite aware. I think it's one of the more unheralded defenses in the league because the offense does nothing for them. But they're 7th in allowing only 320 yards a game. 7th in the NFL isn't bad at all. And their problem is they don't score points. Their quarterbacking has been so inconsistent. Alex Smith had a great game last time out, but they just don't seem to have enough to get it done. Chelsea 0-4 in favorites as the last 4 times Washington was favored. Do you think they have a chance to win this one?
You're asking me? I
Yes,
think
I am.
the key stat for me in this one is, the Bengals like to throw the ball a whole lot. With Joe Burrow there, they're actually 4th in the league in pass attempts, right behind the Bucs. So, they like to throw it. The stat here, Washington, 5th in the league in sacks. So can they get after Joe Burrow? That's what I'll be looking for in this one. As you know, I don't bet on NFC East games ever just because there's so much chaos in that league. So what do you think? Since I'm not going to be making a decision on this one.
No, I actually like the side here, and I'd play it on the money line if I could. And I'm talking about taking Washington here. Although they're only 5-13 the last 18 times they're coming off a straight up loss. They just don't seem to gather around and rally around the lamppost. They don't do it. But I'm taking them here at home against Cincinnati, who just 0-4 on the road with that one push against Philadelphia. I'm going to take the DC Swampers, as I call them.
Anything's an upgrade over football team. Let's move on to the second game of the parlay. Steelers at Jags. Steelers are -10.5 on the road. The total is 46. So we're going to see Jake Luton probably against this Steelers defense that's been really, really good. The Jaguars were pesky to the Packers last week, but I think the Steelers defense is another issue because the Packers defense is not the Steelers defense. So you probably see where I'm headed on this one, but 10.5 is a lot of points. Chip, what do you think?
Yeah, it is. It is, but for good reason. Although, Jaguars are 4-5 against the number. They're 1-8 straight up, and that one win came opening week when the entire world was betting Phillip Rivers and the Colts to annihilate them, and the Jaguars come out and win the opening game of the season and haven't been in the winner's circle since. Primarily, the reason is their defense, Chelsea. They're giving up. They're 31 and in the NFL out of 32 teams in yards surrendered. 416 yards a game. That's huge. Pittsburgh has a big one on Thanksgiving Day against Baltimore, and you have to wonder if they're going to be peeking ahead. That's why I think this number may be really, really live. Of course, Steelers undefeated on the road, 4-0, but they have covered 3 of those 4. I'm wondering if this game is just going to be a game where Pittsburgh's going to try and just get through it and get to Thanksgiving against the Ravens. And I'm looking for it to go under. The underdog overall in the series is 12-3. With a push in the last 16 games, but the under is 4-1 the last 5 meetings. And Chelsea, here's the key stat. And I'm not a crazy guy about totals, but I think this is the telling tale. And the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in the last 54 games, 40 unders, 13 overs, and 1 push. 40-13 is an incredible number. Almost 75% to stay under with the Steelers on the road. That's it. I think that's the way to go.
Wow. That's a pretty jarring metric if you look at it like that. And I think that's probably just because of the Steelers defense. And the game plan changes, if a team's way ahead. They're not playing to cover the spread. They're playing, just to win. So some good plays here from Chip. That's our 2-game parlay. here on Picks and Parlays. As always, great stuff from Chip Chirimbes. Just to recap, he's taken Washington on the spread and then Steelers, Jags under, parlaying those two together. Chip, as always, great stuff. Thanks for joining us.